put it this way, I don't believe that he created a place where people enjoyed going to their work. And I think that was probably one of the kind of big factors behind the decline under Clement. I know that's going to sound daft because, I think anybody that ever kicked a ball, you always thought, imagine being a professional football player. It must be the greatest thing in the world. But to these guys, it remains a job. And if you're not happy at your work, if you don't rate your boss, if you don't like what you're being told to do, if you don't even like the atmosphere around the place, it becomes a bit of a grind, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem. That's problem number one that Barry Ferguson and his backroom team are trying to address right now. I think, there's a great saying, Gordon Strachan lives by this motto. He says, in life, for a large part, there are two types of people, drains and radiators. Philippe Clement appears to have sucked the life. He's been a human drain, and he's sucked the life out of that place. And it was already, the levels were already pretty low before him. So, that's an almighty kind of thing to try and take on. How do you, in the space of no time at all, put some life into it? Mm-hmm. Put a fire under the place and, raise the energy levels. And that's what, that's Gordon Strachan's thing, drains and radiators. Radiators are the guys that you want to be around. Radiators are the guy that brings everybody up. And I think that's the task. That's the first task for these guys, is to just try and, bring people out their shells a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think that Barry Ferguson will be astonished. Could you imagine Barry Ferguson? Because he did say after the Motherwell game that you could tell that the players are really fragile. You could tell there was a nervousness. These were things like Clement would talk about, this nervousness playing at home against Queen's Park. It doesn't compute. And you can imagine, and I think Barry wouldn't mind me saying, in one of the columns that he did a number of years ago, he revealed to his readers that he had to go through an anger management course, and he's had to develop various coping mechanisms. And that was just, whether it's walking about the supermarket and somebody's getting in his way, whatever. I think what I'm saying is, I would imagine that his patience and his coping mechanisms will be tested to the full right now.
Right,
because he'll have seen stuff around him that he will not believe, whether it's at the training ground, whether it's on match days. And a guy like him, who's as passionate as he is about Rangers, I think he's going to find this really difficult to level off. And I would imagine, and I put it this way, I think there are one or two players that will be walking into an interesting Monday morning when they report back to Auchenhowie. I think I'm fairly sure that Barry Ferguson feels there's quite a bit that he needs to get off his chest and exchange some home truths with a number of players. And as Andy said there, it's not just one; it's a number, and it's a significant number.
Well, as I suggested to Keith, to Andy there, Keith, I mean, Gary McDowell asked as well, do you think any of the current players are good enough for Rangers? And he says, if you do, are they just not interested in? I honestly, I was watching the game yesterday thinking, how many of these, if you were the long-term manager, would you really look at and go, look, he's for me? I mean, not many, if any.
No, I don't even think you need one hand.
Aye, I know, you're probably right.
Liz, do you know what? And I found it quite interesting that Leon Balogun was thrown on at half-time, given that I think he trained for about 25 minutes last week. But in a crisis situation, I think that Balogun is the kind of guy you would want in the trenches with you. I think that he's a guy, but he's 36. So, it's not the future. But I would imagine that he will go on from this moment in time, now that he's back and available for selection. As long as he can stay fit, I think he'll stay in Barry Ferguson's defence. I would almost guarantee that.